7 common egg mistakes are silently poisoning seniors over 65. And mistake number 3 could completely change the way you eat eggs forever. Did you know that the food many people call the perfect protein for aging can become one of the worst things on your breakfast plate if it's prepared the wrong way? It's true. Millions of seniors eat eggs every single day, never realizing that one simple mistake could turn this nutritional powerhouse into a serious health risk. The most shocking part is that almost nobody realizes they're making these mistakes until it's already too late. Eggs are one of the best things you can eat after 60. They're packed with protein, choline, and nutrients that protect your brain and your eyes right now at this very stage of life when you need them the most. But that same nutrition is exactly what makes the mistakes ahead so dangerous. Because the eggs that hurt you look, smell, and taste completely normal right up until they don't. There's no warning sign before the damage is done. Pay attention here because the thing you've trusted your whole life can just as easily be the thing that lands you in a hospital bed. Research suggests that a large majority of older adults make at least one of these mistakes on a regular basis. And most of them have no idea they're doing it because these aren't rare kitchen accidents. They're habits almost everyone watching this grew up with. I'm Dr. Mandel, a cardiologist based in Los Angeles with 26 years of experience treating patients over 65. And I want to walk you through this the same way I would a patient sitting across from me in my office. So today, we're counting down the 7 most dangerous egg mistakes seniors make, ranked from the one that seems the most harmless all the way up to the one that sends the most people to urgent care. And mistake number 2 is sitting in almost every refrigerator in America right now. Before we get into it, here's a quick question for you. How do you usually cook your eggs? Scrambled, boiled, or over easy? Let us know in the comments below. Now, let's get started. And remember, we're counting backward. So the most surprising mistake comes first. Number 7, skipping the yolk. If you've spent years throwing away your egg yolks and eating only the whites, you're not alone. But you might be undoing most of the reason eggs are good for you in the first place. This habit goes back decades to advice that told people to cut cholesterol wherever they could, but the yolk is where nearly all of an egg's real nutrition lies. Choline, which your brain relies on for memory and focus. Lutein and zeaxanthin, which are tied to eye health and lowering the risk of age-related vision loss. The yolk is also one of the few natural sources of vitamin D, which becomes harder for the body to produce from sunlight as we get older. Here's the part most people don't know. The concern about dietary cholesterol driving up blood cholesterol has largely been reconsidered. This is well established. The 2015-2020 dietary guidelines for Americans actually remove the long-standing limit on dietary cholesterol. Unless your doctor has specifically told you to limit egg yolks for a medical reason, whole eggs offer far better nutrition than egg whites alone, especially for someone your age when the body absorbs nutrients less efficiently than it used to. Your brain and your eyes are 2 of the first things that begin to decline quietly with age. Keeping the yolk on your plate helps protect both. And that means staying sharp enough to recognize your grandchildren's faces and steady enough on your feet to keep up with them. Number 6, drowning your eggs in butter, oil, or cheese. This one doesn't feel dangerous. It feels like breakfast, but it's one of the easiest ways to turn a heart-healthy meal into a real problem for your cardiovascular system. A simple 2-egg breakfast on its own is a lean, protein-rich start to the day. Add a generous pat of butter, a handful of shredded cheese, and a splash of oil to the pan, and that same plate can end up carrying far more saturated fat than most seniors should consume in one sitting. Heart health guidelines recommend keeping saturated fat to a small portion of your daily calorie intake, and 1 cheese-loaded butter-fried omelet can use up a meaningful share of that allowance before lunch even begins. None of it tastes excessive in the moment. That's exactly what makes it so easy to overlook. What makes this mistake especially sneaky is that it's cumulative. 1 indulgent Sunday breakfast won't hurt you, but eating eggs cooked this way every morning can quietly push your cholesterol and inflammation in the wrong direction, both of which are associated with a higher risk of heart disease and stroke. This is especially important if you're already managing high blood pressure, because a diet high in saturated fat tends to work against the same numbers your doctor is monitoring at every visit. The solution doesn't mean giving up flavor. Cook your eggs in a non-stick pan using just a light coating of olive oil or cooking spray. If you enjoy cheese, use a smaller amount of a stronger flavored variety like sharp cheddar or feta. So, a little goes a long way, and instead of adding more cheese, add more vegetables. Spinach, tomatoes, and peppers increase volume and provide real nutrition without adding saturated fat. Your heart doesn't need you to stop eating eggs. It simply needs you to stop drowning them in fat so you have the stamina to garden, walk around the neighborhood, and keep doing the things that help you stay independent. Number 5, leaving cooked eggs out too long, especially at gatherings. This mistake tends to happen exactly when you're least likely to be thinking about food safety. At a family brunch on a holiday morning surrounded by a table full of grandchildren, good food and great conversation. Cooked egg dishes, whether it's quiche, egg salad, or a frittata sitting on the counter, should never remain at room temperature for more than about 2 hours or as little as 1 hour if the room is especially warm. After that window, bacteria can multiply to unsafe levels, even in food that was fully cooked. This matters even more at this stage of life because stomach acid, one of the body's natural defenses against harmful bacteria, often decreases with age or as a result of certain medications. If you're hosting, keep hot dishes hot above 140 degrees F by using a slow cooker or a chafing dish. Keep cold dishes, such as egg salad, nestled in a bowl of ice. Once the gathering is over, refrigerate leftovers promptly in shallow containers and use them within 3 to 4 days. When in doubt, throw it out. Nobody wants a happy holiday memory to end with a trip to urgent care. A little planning at the buffet table means more time enjoying laughter with the people you love, instead of leaving early because of food poisoning. Number 4, cross-contaminating without realizing it. Here's a situation that plays out in kitchens every single day. You crack a couple of eggs for your morning omelet, quickly wipe your hands on a kitchen towel, then reach for the bread to toast, your pill organizer for your morning medications, or you give the mixing bowl a quick rinse with cold water before using it to prepare a fruit salad. In every one of those situations, you may have just transferred bacteria to something you're about to eat or touch with your hands. This mistake leaves no trace, no smell, no visible residue, nothing to warn you. Even eggs that appear perfectly clean can carry bacteria on their shells. And that bacteria can remain on kitchen surfaces if they aren't properly cleaned, including the towel you just used to wipe your hands. There's another part of this mistake that's easy to overlook: cutting boards. Many people use the same cutting board for cracking eggs and then just minutes later for slicing fruit or bread without washing it first. It feels efficient, but it's actually one of the most common causes of cross-contamination in a home kitchen. And it happens most often in kitchens where routines have become automatic, not because people are careless, but because they've been doing things the same way for decades. The solution takes only a few seconds. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap and warm water immediately after handling eggs before touching anything else. If possible, keep a separate bowl or cutting board specifically for raw eggs. And clean countertops, utensils, and any surface that has come into contact with raw eggs using hot soapy water. This isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about protecting everyone who sits at your table, especially your grandchildren whose immune systems are still developing. But before we continue, if you've been enjoying this guide, take a moment to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Number 3, ignoring the expiration date. I already know what some of you are thinking. I've been eating eggs past the date on the carton for years and I've never gotten sick. And for many people, that's genuinely true most of the time. But here's why this mistake deserves much more caution. As we get older, our immune systems naturally become less resilient and our margin for error gets much smaller. That date printed on the egg carton isn't just a random suggestion. It represents the point at which the egg's natural protective defenses begin to weaken, allowing bacteria to multiply more easily, even in eggs that still look, smell, and taste completely normal. For a younger, healthier person, eating one of those eggs might result in nothing more than a day of stomach discomfort. But this stage of life, especially if you're managing a chronic medical condition or taking daily medications, food poisoning can become serious very quickly. I'm Dr. Mandel, and one thing I've learned after decades of caring for older adults is that many emergencies begin with something that seemed completely harmless the day before. That's exactly why paying attention to expiration dates is such a simple habit that can protect your health. Dehydration is a real concern because many older adults already have a diminished sense of thirst. But here's something that may surprise you. Doctors now say that one of the best ways to tell whether an egg is still fresh has nothing to do with the date printed on the carton. If you're ever unsure, try the float test. Place the egg in a bowl of water. A fresh egg will sink and lie flat on its side. An older egg will stand upright or float because the air pocket inside the shell expands over time. One of the easiest habits to develop at home is simple rotation. Whenever you bring home a new carton of eggs, place it behind the older carton, so you always use the oldest eggs first. It's a small habit, but it removes the guesswork completely and helps you stay in control of your kitchen with confidence. Number 2, undercooking your eggs. This mistake has become much more common over the last several years, largely because of social media. Runny yolks and barely set egg whites look beautiful in online videos. But what looks appealing on a screen isn't always the safest choice on your breakfast plate, especially at your age. Both the egg white and the yolk need to reach a safe internal temperature to destroy potentially harmful bacteria. At that temperature, both the white and the yolk will be fully set, not runny. Contrary to what many people believe, a firm yolk does not mean you've overcooked your eggs. It means you've cooked them safely. A foodborne illness that causes only mild discomfort in a younger adult can become much more serious for seniors, particularly those living with diabetes or heart disease, because the immune system naturally becomes less effective at fighting infection with age. Here's something worth acknowledging honestly. Many of us grew up in homes where runny yolks were simply the normal way eggs were served, and no one questioned it. That's not a criticism. Food safety recommendations have genuinely evolved as scientific understanding has improved. What felt perfectly safe at age 30 doesn't carry the same level of safety in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. This isn't about changing a lifetime of habits overnight. It's simply about updating one small part of your routine to match the needs of your body today. Don't miss this important point. Color is not a reliable indicator of safety. Some eggs may appear fully cooked on the outside while the inside has not yet reached a safe temperature. The solution is simple and inexpensive. Use a food thermometer. Cook your eggs until both the white and the yolk are completely set. No guessing required. You don't have to stop enjoying eggs to stay safe. A firm yolk isn't a sacrifice. It's simply the version of breakfast that helps keep you out of urgent care. And now we come to the mistake that tops this entire list. The one hiding in plain sight inside some of the most treasured family recipes passed down through generations. Now, we're about to reveal the final mistake, and afterward I'll share 3 simple professional tips that make eggs safer, easier to prepare, and easier to enjoy. So stay with me until the end. Number 1, using raw eggs in uncooked recipes. Homemade eggnog during the holidays. Classic Caesar dressing. Chocolate mousse prepared the same way your mother or grandmother used to make it. These recipes feel like family tradition, and that's exactly why this mistake is so easy to overlook. Raw eggs can contain salmonella bacteria inside the egg itself, not just on the shell. That means even a clean, uncracked, properly refrigerated egg can still pose a health risk if it is never cooked. Once those bacteria enter your body alive, they can move directly into your digestive system. For seniors, a salmonella infection is much more than a few uncomfortable days. It can become genuinely dangerous because age-related changes in the digestive system and immune response make it more difficult for the body to fight the infection effectively. In addition, some medications commonly taken by older adults can mask the early symptoms, allowing the infection to progress further before anyone realizes something is wrong. I'm Dr. Mandel. And this is one of the mistakes I see catch people most often in my own practice because it rarely feels like a decision at all. Nobody sits down at a holiday dinner thinking they're about to take a food safety risk. They're simply preparing the eggnog the same way it's always been prepared, using the same mixing bowl, following the same handwritten recipe card, sometimes written by someone who is no longer here to ask. That's exactly why this mistake continues from one generation to the next, even in families that are extremely careful about every other aspect of food safety. And it's not only the obviously raw recipes. Holland sauce, soft meringues, gently baked custards. Many of these dishes never reach a high enough temperature to completely eliminate harmful bacteria. Even licking the spoon while making cookie dough or cake batter carries exactly the same underlying risk. Here's the good news. You don't have to give up a single one of these recipes. Pasteurized eggs are gently heated just enough to destroy harmful bacteria while still behaving exactly like raw eggs in every recipe. The same texture, the same whipping ability, the same delicious results. They're now widely available as whole eggs, egg whites, egg yolks, and liquid eggs in most major grocery stores. Simply substitute pasteurized eggs in any recipe that calls for raw or lightly cooked eggs. Your holiday eggnog, your Caesar dressing, your chocolate mousse, they'll all taste exactly the way you remember without the unnecessary risk. Now that you know the mistakes to avoid, here are 3 simple tricks professional cooks use that make eggs both safer and easier to prepare, especially if cracking eggs, peeling them, or keeping track of freshness has ever become frustrating. Professional tip number 1, the 20-nut rule. Most people don't realize that placing eggs directly from the refrigerator into boiling water often causes the shells to crack because of the sudden temperature change. Instead, let your eggs sit at room temperature for about 20 minutes before cooking. It's a small step that helps prevent cracked shells while giving you a more evenly cooked egg with a better overall texture. Professional tip number 2, the vinegar trick. This tip is especially helpful if you live with arthritis or reduced grip strength. Add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar to the boiling water. If an egg cracks during cooking, the vinegar helps the egg white coagulate almost immediately, sealing the crack and reducing contamination. As an added bonus, eggs cooked this way are much easier to peel. The shell comes away in larger pieces instead of breaking into tiny fragments that cling stubbornly to the egg white. That may sound like a small difference, but it matters when your hands aren't as strong as they once were. And don't worry, the vinegar leaves no taste at all. Professional tip number 3, keep pasteurized eggs at home. This brings us right back to mistake number 1. Once you know what to look for, you'll usually find pasteurized eggs sitting right beside the regular cartons in most grocery stores. Keeping 1 carton in your refrigerator means every recipe that calls for raw or lightly cooked eggs can remain part of your family's traditions without adding unnecessary risk. So, here's the bottom line. Eggs remain one of the healthiest foods you can eat after the age of 60. They should support your brain, your eyesight, your heart, and your energy. The 7 mistakes we've discussed today are not reasons to fear eating eggs. They're simply small blind spots. And now that you know them, they're easy to correct. This is exactly what the healthiest older adults already do without giving it a second thought. You're not helpless. You're informed. And that's what allows you to stay independent in your own kitchen, preparing the meals and family traditions you love safely. Which of these mistakes did you grow up making without ever realizing it? Tell us in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you're planning to make even one of these changes starting tomorrow, type yes in the comments so we know this information reached you. If you have any questions or would like to share your own experience, feel free to leave a comment below. He learned how to leach a potato. His wife began making cauliflower rice. Over the months that followed, alongside his medications and regular lab work, his numbers stabilized. I want to choose my words carefully here because this is where people often make promises they can't keep. His creatinine did not return to normal. It simply stopped climbing and remained stable. His blood pressure improved. His nighttime trips to the bathroom dropped from 3 times a night to just once. But the thing he told me he appreciated most wasn't his lab results at all. It was the feeling that he had finally become an active participant in protecting his kidneys instead of standing by helplessly watching them slowly fail. I also want to be honest about the other ending because I've seen it far too many times. The person who hears all of this intends to make changes but never quite gets around to it, then comes back a year later with worse numbers and far fewer treatment options. The difference between those 2 stories is rarely about willpower, and it's almost never about money. Most of the time, the difference is simply this. One person made one small change this week while it was still fresh in their mind. The other waited for a someday that never came. So, here's the one idea that connects all 5 of these snacks. It's the single message I most want you to remember after this video. Every one of these foods works by reducing the workload placed on your kidneys filters. That's the entire secret. And once you understand that, you'll never look at your dinner plate the same way again. The egg whites reduce the amount of waste your kidneys have to remove. The grapes and the cauliflower help calm the inflammation that slowly scars those filters year after year. The macadamia nuts help protect the blood vessels that carry blood into the kidneys to be filtered. And every preparation method we've discussed, the leaching process, cooking without salt, choosing whole fruit instead of juice is designed to prevent potassium, phosphorus, and sodium from building up in a system that can no longer remove them efficiently. That changes the way you should think about your creatinine level. For years, you've probably been told that creatinine is simply a measure of how badly your kidneys have been damaged. Almost like a verdict handed down to you. But it's more than that. It's also an ongoing reflection of how hard you're asking your kidneys to work. And that part has your fingerprints on it 3 times every day. You did not develop kidney disease because you were careless. Kidney disease at this stage of life is usually the result of decades of high blood pressure, elevated blood sugar, aging blood vessels, and changes that began long before you had any reason to think about them. But the workload your kidneys carry starting today, that is something you can help reduce. And reducing that workload is one of the very few parts of this disease that remains in your hands. No prescription required, no copay, no one's permission. So, what should you actually do tonight? Let's make it practical. First, make a small grocery list right now while this is still fresh in your mind. Fresh red grapes, a carton of eggs or liquid egg whites, a couple of potatoes, 1 head of cauliflower, and a small bag of raw, unsalted macadamia nuts. That's the entire list. Second, choose just 1 snack to start with, not all 5, because the person who tries to change everything by Monday usually changes nothing by Friday. The easiest place to begin is replacing your usual afternoon snack with half a cup of fresh red grapes and a few macadamia nuts. Do that consistently. You've already begun. Third, learn how to leach a potato this week. It's the one skill on this list that almost nobody has ever taught you, and it gives you back a food you may have believed was gone forever. Fourth, remove salt from the way you prepare every one of these foods. Don't add salt. Instead, season with herbs, fresh lemon juice, and a little extra virgin olive oil. And whenever you buy something that comes in a bag or a carton, read the label carefully. Watch for sodium and watch for the word phosphate. Fifth, and this is the step that ties everything together, keep every appointment with your kidney specialist. Keep getting your laboratory tests. Know your own numbers, your creatinine, your GFR, your potassium, your phosphorus. These snacks are designed to work alongside your medical treatment, never instead of it. Now, let me leave you with the one message I promise to include in every video because it's the most important one of all. There comes a point where this stops being a kitchen decision and becomes a phone call to your doctor. If you're living with stage 4 or stage 5 kidney disease, or you've ever been told that your potassium level runs high, please do not completely change your diet based only on a YouTube video, including this one. In advanced kidney disease, potassium and protein intake must be carefully adjusted to match your exact kidney function. Too much potassium can become genuinely dangerous for your heart. Take this video with you to your kidney specialist or a registered renal dietitian. Build your own personalized version of this plan together. I explained the science first so that this advice would make sense and so you'd be more likely to act on it. Here's what I hope you believe before you leave this video tonight. Creatinine number that continues to rise is not a sentence you simply sit back and accept. Today you've been given 5 practical, affordable foods that you can find in almost any grocery store. 5 real ways to reduce some of the burden carried by the tiny kidney filters that have worked for you every minute of your life. And now you know exactly how to prepare each one properly. Your kidneys have been working for you every second of every day without asking for thanks since before you were even born. Tonight, you have the opportunity to start working for them. So before you go, I'd like you to do 3 simple things. Choose one of these snacks and actually buy it this week, not someday. Tap the like button if this video explains something that your last 12-minute doctor's appointment simply didn't have enough time to cover. It truly helps YouTube share this information with more people your age who need it. And finally, tell me down in the comments how old you are and what your most recent creatinine level or GFR is. That tells me exactly what kind of video I should make for you next. Take good care of yourself and take good care of your kidneys.